Here we are. Thank you all very much for joining us for the next edition of our Strategy Leadership Series. We have Megan Christ from the new T-Mobile Sprint group joining us. Thank you for joining us, Megan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Megan has been with Sprint in various iterations in the new T-Mobile group for 16 years, and she is a part of the leader of the group of consumer insights and strategy. And I am Bonnie Jansen with Decision Analyst. We are a marketing research, consumer insights, and strategy organization. And we are very honored to have you taking some time with us and sharing some insights with us today. Let's jump right into business, if you don't mind. Can you share a little bit about your organization and your industry and kind of some of the changes that you have made as an organization as COVID-19 has started and shelter-in-place orders were established and kind of as the crisis began and has continued on at this point?
Yeah, so obviously our role, being a wireless communications company has kind of just become more prominent now. It was important before, kids wanted their phones and all of that, but now with many things going remote, it's just even more important for us to make sure that we're offering the consistent connection. The network's top notch and the devices are available and people have their phones and laptops and tablets, and really being able to provide that connection to people right now when is so much uncertainty. I think that's a key part of what we can offer is just helping people feel somewhat of a connection still, and making sure everyone has what they need to do that.
So tell us a little bit about some of your new product development plans and ideas. Many people have talked about how new product development has been invigorated in the COVID-19 era, and new things have come to the forefront as consumer perceptions and behaviors have changed.
Yeah, I think for us, it's just finding new ways to connect people, making sure that we are on the forefront of whatever technology is available to keep people connected. You see areas like healthcare, and people that can't visit loved ones in the hospital right now. So making sure we are able to give those devices and those technologies, and just thinking forward about what might be required and necessary for people and making that available. Same with education, making sure the teachers and the school districts have what they need and the students have what they need. So in terms of, what we can offer, I think it's just making sure we're thinking of those things and kind of thinking forward about and trying to anticipate as best we can, right? What things might look like down the road, and making sure we're able to stay on top of that and give everybody what they need to be connected.
That's great. What about the impact on the labor force? And I know you have various different groups within your organization in terms of labor and what they provide to your customers, but it has been very painful for labor force in many organizations. If you can share a little bit with us about what T-Mobile has been able to do in that area, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think we've had to kind of get up to speed very quickly and pivot and adjust to the way we had been doing things. Going through a merger, we've got T-Mobile stores and Sprint stores. So we were already trying to work together to kind of consolidate that. Mm-hmm. And then COVID hit, so we had to close down most of those retail stores. So trying to get that staff accommodated, maybe moving them into different locations or different positions for the time being so we can maintain them. But still having a place where consumers can go and get what they need. So moving a lot of things online, making sure that is, top notch, doing, 1-day shipping, overnight shipping, making sure we have devices in stock that people need. So staff has been working, really hard on that. And then care reps, a lot of them were in call centers. And so moving many of those folks remotely and making sure they have the technology they need to do their job, from home or remotely, and doing training to keep everyone up to speed. And then our network and our IT folks, working very hard to make sure the network is working for our consumers, and then our IT group making sure its employees are all connected and able to maintain those connections. So we've had to adjust, but I think done a good job with it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of organizations have given many kudos to the IT organization within, or IT departments within their organizations, about how they've been able to kind of help keep everybody afloat and keep all those, all the commerce going as
Right.
best they could. So they've done a great job. Impact on pricing and promotion as it relates to your strategy, and of course there's T-Mobile and Sprint and kind of the combination of those two things.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, just thinking of the impact of COVID, is with some of our consumers maybe struggling to pay the bills right now. So we kind of took a pledge where we're helping people through that. We're giving bill deferrals. We're deferring payments. We're moving payment due dates. We're reducing amounts that are due
Hmm.
for a certain amount of time that folks need to get back on their feet. So that's one thing that we're doing. And then T-Mobile and Sprint have always kind of been a value player in terms of pricing. So making sure we're giving the best network at the best price with all of the best elements that you need in that plan. So that's kind of been key to both companies for quite a while. So bringing that together is it's fairly seamless. And again, just making sure we can offer that affordable plan, affordable device for families, for businesses. Like I said, especially now during COVID, to make
Right.
sure we're giving that affordability.
Great. And what about the values as a society? We've seen a lot of changes, and people have said, having all this time to ourselves to kind of slow down and look at what's important is sort of changing what we feel is important. More family time, and how we interrelate to one another. How do you see this changing things for your organization or for your industry going forward?
Yeah, I mean, being in the research group and the insights group, we've obviously reached out to our customers and to folks in the marketplace and done a lot of our own research just to understand how people are feeling right now.
Mhm.
How COVID is impacting them and how they're feeling towards it. There was definitely it's getting a bit better. People were very concerned early on, and then we're seeing that ease up just a little bit. But I think when we ask them about technology and devices and connections, that's still hugely important, and even more so. And like you said, it's tough. You want to disconnect, but at the same time, you need to stay connected, right?
Right.
So I think people are realizing ways to stay connected with grandparents who maybe can't go anywhere, or like I said, people that are in the hospital and things like that, and friends trying to stay connected when they're not in a school setting and seeing each other in person. So that just seems to be even more important to folks right now, is just maintaining those connections, and however we can help do that.
And what else would you like to share about the new T-Mobile, in terms of your organization, and now that you've kind of merged together with Sprint and T-Mobile?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting and challenging time. We kind of started all this pre-COVID, and so we were getting into the steps of understanding each other and our roles and what everyone was doing. We were having meetings on site. We have two different headquarters, and so we had people coming and going. And then when that all stopped and travel was kind of put on hold, we had to readjust a little bit and figure out how do we get to know each other remotely.
Hmm.
And so we've been able to do that and still stay connected and understand synergies and how we're doing things. And so we've been able to maintain that. And then I think T-Mobile, has done a good job. We've got COVID, we've got the merger, but we've also got, protests and things like race
Hmm.
relations. And so bringing that to the forefront, not shying away from it, talking about it, giving employees a place to feel open and honest and be able to share their experiences and have us learn from each other. I know I've learned a lot just by listening and hearing other people's experiences.
Hmm.
And sometimes you feel a little helpless, like what can you do? But I think they've been good about offering up, if you do want to get involved, here's some things that you can do. And as a company, we want to maintain diversity and yeah, so they've done a really good job, I think, about just making sure that that's in the forefront and again, not shying away from it.
That's great. So it's definitely, as many of us have said, 2020 has been challenging in many ways, both personally, professionally, and as the business was merging already. So there's been a lot of challenges, but it sounds like very exciting times for the new T-Mobile, and lots of exciting things to come as they take on the merger and the rest of the year of 2020.
Yeah, like you said, definitely a lot going on, but it is an exciting time. So with new technology and merging groups together and trying to learn from each other, yeah, definitely challenging, but I think good things to come for sure.
That sounds great. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us today? We pretty much
No,
cover
I
all
just,
that? Okay.
I think so. I think we covered everything. I think one thing we had talked about before was just how our industry and research can, just make sure that we're staying creative, we're staying open to new ideas, we're staying
Hmm.
flexible because it does change a little bit the way we're used to doing some things, and
Right.
whereas we might not be able to do some of those in-person, research techniques, just making sure we can still get that human connection and get that insight while being flexible with new technologies and yeah,
That's great.
adapting.
Very good. Very good. Well, all really great ideas. We really appreciate your time. I'm sure you're incredibly busy with the merger and everything else going on. So we appreciate your time. I wish you great success through the rest of the year. And thank you for joining us. Have a great afternoon.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right.
Appreciate
Bye
it.
bye.
You too.